Hello guys, this is Kuldeep Sah Gangola and I'm talking to the GOGO magazine. Okay, question number 1. How did your journey as a filmmaker begin? Well, I did my 1-year photography diploma in Pune while I was doing my bachelor's in commerce, and from there I started to get into this video aspect of fashion photography because I was too much involved into fashion photography. So from there I used to get assignments like creating a promotional video or behind the scenes video of a certain event. I also covered the Lakme Fashion Week. So from there the work kind of started to flow. This process of creating fashion videos had less of storytelling and artistic element that I was putting in from my side. So I decided to create a few pieces and where I was able to tell story combined with the technical knowledge that I had from fashion photography, and I submitted it to New York Film Academy, and that's how I began my career. How hard was it to get your first break? Well, film industry or media industry, especially documentary filmmaking industry in New York, is something which is very close to which is very close to outsiders. It is something which is where you really need to have and depend on your relationships a lot, because it's a group effort, it's a collaboration of many people coming together to create art. So you should be able to trust the person, trust his instincts, and also his share the same ideas that the other person has. So it was a bit tough in the beginning to break into the industry, but once people see you working, people see the way you think, people relate to the way you think, then it's a word of mouth game. They refer you or recommend you to someone else, and then the ball gets rolling from there. So to answer the question, it was a bit tough breaking it into the industry, but once you get in, then it's all about your image and hard work. Question number 3. Who has been your inspiration? Who has been your inspiration? I don't have any particular inspiration or a role model in the field of documentary filmmaking or in any other work related stuff, but I've had the good fortunes of working with Bob Eisenhart, who is an Oscar winning editor and filmmaker, who won the Oscar last year for his film Free Solo. So the thing that I love about Bob is his ability to convey a really complex idea and explain it to the audience and to his colleagues like me in normal and simplest of terms. He says if you've got the right foundation, a solid foundation, you can do all the fancy stuff on top later on. But for that, you need to have a really strong foundation. That analogy, I think, comes from the fact that he is an architect as well, and he applies that experience of his life into editing and storytelling quite well. So I would say he would come close to being my inspiration in terms of work. What are the odds in filmmaking as a career option, and how would you manage to fight those odds? How did you manage to fight those odds? Well, being a filmmaker or being an artist comes with its own problems. The one and the most hard-hitting problem, which I think every artist would tell you, is the ability to strike balance between doing what you do and still be able to sustain yourself while doing it. I am interested in telling stories from India. I am interested in stories from rural India, the really raw India which foreigners haven't seen. But the problem with that is I don't have enough marketing opportunities in India regarding the content from India, not especially in terms of documentaries. So in New York, I feel that I've got a market where people are willing to buy a ticket and go to a movie theater and then see my film. So that is something which I think is where I have to maintain a balance between how to handle the creative aspect and also the financial aspect. So that is something I would say that this is one odd which not only me but all artists strive to fight against. Which has been your best work so far? My best work so far, I would say, which was really satisfying for me, is my own film, Ghost Villages of Himalaya. Which has been your best work so far? Well, my best work, I would say, which has been really satisfying for me, would be Ghost Villages of Himalayas, because this was the reason why I came into documentary filmmaking. Migration is a global phenomena, and it is really a personal issue for me as well, and for my entire generation, where we have to leave our parents, our home, and move to a urban city to find jobs. So this was something which I really wanted to do and tell a story about, and I'm really grateful that audience received it pretty well. How has life changed after the arrival of Ghost Villages of Himalayas? Well, Ghost Villages of Himalayas was something which has an unusual protagonist, which is a 89-year-old woman who's all by herself. So there was a certain kind of USP attached to this film, and also it was from the interiors of Uttarakhand, which is based in the northern part of India. It's the Himalayan region, it hasn't been explored much. So I would say the fact that it was really well received in New York and in other countries really changed my position in the industry, and also uh, otherwise. But few of the things which also changed after Ghost Villages of Himalayas was me being able to openly convey my thoughts to my directors and also to other people with whom I collaborated, because once your formula and your way of storytelling works in the industry, then people become more open to hearing ideas from you. So I would say a little bit more respect, I would say, from my colleagues, and industry um, becomes a little more kind, where your own work gets out there and gets appreciated. How has life been after you shifted to New York? Well, life is completely different since I moved to New York, and it's one thing to travel from New Delhi to New York, but it's a whole different ball game when you're moving from the interiors of Uttarakhand, and especially from a place like Bageshwar to New York. It is a world of a difference. Um, I would say my ability to convey and express more, because this is one thing which I feel is very much present in the Western culture, where they appreciate and they say things which will particularly boost up your confidence. Now that becomes a real problem when you're not doing good job, but they always tell you how great you are. But for starters, for people who are just starting like me, it's a really motivation. It's a really great motivation for us to keep on going forward, for us to strive for something which we otherwise wouldn't have thought before coming to New York. So being able to trust my instincts is one of the best things that I would say since I moved to New York. And apart from that, the speed at which New York City moves at, even if you go out for a walk and it's a casual evening, you don't have anything to do, the speed of the city is such that you will be in a haste all the time. So that is something which has come into my life as well. uh, Getting things done, getting things done really fast and really effectively. One advice you would like to give to young and aspiring filmmakers? Well, I seriously don't have any advice to give to young and aspiring filmmakers, because I'm still young and I'm aspiring for things, and also because art and this path of being a filmmaker is such a subjective path that the advice from one's life does not apply at all to someone else's life. Even if you go to the same college, same university, same people, still your own personality demands something more unique and something more original, rather than you seeking advice from other people. That's what I think. Maybe completely wrong, but that's what I think. I also don't tend to look for advice, so maybe that's where it's coming from. How's life in quarantine? Well, quarantine has been good. Today's the 22nd day of quarantine, but I would say that it really gives me time to think, especially after the life from New York, which was a really fast-paced life. So I'm kind of enjoying the quarantine, and also it's a much needed thing that we stay back homes right now. I have been developing my next projects, so it also gives me time to think and develop my next move, my next film, and also get some clarity. I've been doing a lot of research and reading, so that's really helping me, or is going to help me moving forward. So quarantine has been good. Okay, so I think those were the questions, and this is Kuldeep Sah Gangola, and I would really like to thank the GOGO magazine for interviewing me. Thank you.